Hey everybody, time to check in. Yesterday, of course, was Monday. Monday, I'm very busy because I finish up the new issue of MMT Trader. Anybody who wants to see that issue, just go to my website, pitbulleconomics.com, and sign up for a 30-day free trial of MMT Trader. Some of the things I have covered in there or that I discussed in there were obviously what is happening with the stock market, what is happening with the dollar, the focus on the Fed and interest rates, oil, of course, and all that stuff. Gold, all right. Banking information, as I always do, fiscal flows. So we can start off with that. Fiscal flows look very good. We are running above last year. Last year was the second highest spending year on record, just barely missing the 2009 all-time high spending year, but only by a tiny amount, 26 billion, which in fiscal terms, that's like nothing. And this year, right now at least, it looks like we are set to surpass that. The largest line item of government expenditure is Social Security at about 165 billion. The next line item, and that's 165 billion through December 1st. So basically, you're talking about October, November, 2 months worth of Social Security payments. Excuse me. The next major expenditure, can anybody guess? That is a line item on the Treasury statement labeled Other Withdrawals. Other withdrawals, they're not itemized in there. They're just lumped into a category called Other Withdrawals. That is mostly military. That is military pay. That is military operations. That is war spending, basically. And that's like 148 billion. So very close to Social Security. And actually, if you add together other withdrawals, which is almost completely comprised of military expenditures, and if you add defense vendor payments, in other words, what the government pays to defense contractors, you are over the amount of Social Security. So basically, military and war is the largest expenditure of the federal government. And I just read an article today where this child health program, CHIPS, Child Health Insurance Program, Senator Orrin Hatch, Republican of Utah, said, hey, we got to cut that. We don't have any more money. Can you believe it? Yeah, I guess apparently the U.S. government ran out of dollars. No dollars. Okay, I guess you got to ask the Chinese for dollars. Completely not just ludicrous, but immoral, because they just raise the defense budget to 700 billion. Where did that money come from? It comes by decree. They say, Congress says, okay, now we're going to spend 700 billion. So it is a travesty. Let's talk about the markets. As of yesterday, and I guess we could lump today in there. Well, let's talk about yesterday. 4 out of the last 5 days in the Dow Jones have been above a 100-point rally. And 3 out of the 4 last days, I guess you could call it 4 out of the 5 last days of the NASDAQ have been down. So there's a divergence that has been going on. Yesterday, by the way, with the over the weekend, we had the Senate pass the tax bill. We came in, the Dow was up 300, and it closed up 58, and the NASDAQ closed down, I don't know what, 60, 70, 80, something like that. It's up about 20 something today, and the Dow is down again. So underlying the economy, we do have those very strong fiscal flows. We do have very strong, not strong, but I would say lending is picking up. The lending, all the lending aggregates. And that means loans and leases. If you break it down, real estate loans, auto loans, consumer loans, they're either at or near all-time highs, okay, in the amount outstanding. The growth rates are slow, but some of these are turning around, all right? So the monetary picture from both a fiscal standpoint, that is what the government is spending, and bank credit, that's very supportive of the economy, all right? If the economy is doing well, stock market's going to continue to go up. That doesn't mean we can't have corrections. Now, hand in hand with that forecast is the fact that higher spending, a stronger economy, you're going to have upward pressure on inflation. Don't pay attention to what gold is doing right now because that is long liquidation. Those are speculative longs getting out of the market. And it is a buying opportunity. The dollar is going down, folks. I'm telling you this, and it always makes me laugh when I hear people talk about, the Fed's going to raise rates and that's bullish for the dollar. Inflation is not bullish for a currency, all right? It literally means your money buys less. I mean, everybody understands that, but for some reason when it comes to trading, they don't. Now, I want to talk about zombie manic behavior. And this is why it is so easy to make money as a trader as long as you have the right mental game. And I'll get to that in a second. Last year, when the Brexit vote happened in the UK and it came out as a yes vote, they crashed the British pound. The zombies crashed the British pound on the premise that Brexit was going to be a disaster for the UK economy. Essentially, it was like a nuclear device exploded on the UK economy. At least that's the way they perceived it. They took the pound to the dollar from 147 down to, I think, 113 the night of that flash crash in October 2016. We have, and by the way, all that time I said the pound is going back up. The pound is going back up. You got to buy the pound. It's going to recover its losses. It so far has recovered 67% of those losses. Now, what is really funny, and what I am about to say to point out this manic behavior on the part of zombies, is now it is considered that the slow movement towards actual Brexit, in other words, the feet dragging, right? The inability of coming to an agreement to pull out, that is now considered negative. They're selling the pound on that. So last year, they sold the pound hysterically because they said Brexit is going to be a disaster, and now it cannot happen fast enough for them. Folks, that is the definition of irrationality. You don't need to know anything else. You don't need to know MMT. You don't need to know technical analysis. You don't have to be an economist. You don't need inside information. All you need to know is that if you go against irrationality and emotional behavior, and really irrationality, because you can't say on the one hand, hey, Brexit was terrible, and now when are we going to get Brexit? We're not getting it fast. If you go against that, you will make more money than you ever imagined in your life. It is a mathematical certainty. So where is the problem? The problem lies in you, in yourself. It requires mental game. It requires strength. It requires resilience. It requires being able to control your emotions, because you're going to get into a position and it's going to go against you. And like most of you out there, you freak out. You employ prudent stop losses, right? So you're a loser. The fact of the matter is, all you need to know is to fade irrationality, and the zombies exhibit that every single time. Everything they have done, and I've pointed this out time and time again, from this last example with Brexit, to the dollar, to gold, to stocks. This is also an irrationality too. If you think about it, on the night of the election, they sold the Dow Jones futures down 800 points within minutes because Trump was starting to pull ahead in the early polls. They were panicking that Trump might be elected, and then he got elected and they ran the market up 24%, all right? That's irrationality. So yeah, all this stuff, that's all you need to know. But on top of that, that's all you need to know. But the way you have to behave is under a condition of strict mental game. You must control your emotions. And as I've said so many times, this business is 100% mental. I could take darts and throw them at a dartboard and make money. You guys can't. Most of you guys can't. I have mental game, all right? what else? You know, it takes, look, you don't just flick on a switch and you have mental game. It's training. You got to train your mind. Just like if you go to the gym or if you run to train your body to get physically fit, you got to get mentally fit. And is it going to be tough at times? Yeah, it's going to be really tough. A lot of times the toughest part is just the waiting. It's just the waiting, either not doing anything and waiting for the right opportunity, or being in a position and waiting that to, reach its goal. So that's what it's all about, folks. This is not hard. What's hard is the you factor. You decide whether you are going to make it or not. And it is a conscious thing, and it is an effort. It's not your charts. It's not your analysis. It's not your system, okay? It's you. Very easy game if you know how to control yourself. Bye-bye.